Yesterday, we have started reading on the third section of the first chapter, A World in Turmoil. The first sutta that we read is called The Origin of Conflict. Basically, everyone else fight with each other is because of attachment to sensual pleasures, while ascetics fight with ascetics because of attachment to views. The second sutta that we read, why do beings live in hate? Although we all wish to live in peace, in harmony. The Buddha started with the first reasoning because of envy and niggardliness. Yeah. Niggardliness, what does niggardliness mean? Stinginess. Continuing with the reasoning, where do envy and niggardliness come from? Comes from liking and disliking. Then what gives rise to liking and disliking? Desire. What gives rise to desire? Thinking. What gives rise to thinking? Elaborated perceptions and notions, which the footnote mentioned is the tendencies to craving, conceit, and distorted views. And Billy had a question, what is conceit? And it was explained in chapter 10. If you want to look further for the explanation for the conceit I am. Let's continue with the third sutta of this section, the dark chain of causation. Thus, Ananda, independence upon feeling, there is craving. Independence upon craving, there is pursuit. Independence upon pursuit, there is gain. Independence upon gain, there is decision making. Independence upon decision making, there is desire and lust. Independence upon desire and lust, there is attachment. Independence upon attachment, there is possessiveness. Independence upon possessiveness, there is niggardliness. Independence upon niggardliness, there is defensiveness. And because of defensiveness, various evil, unwholesome things originate. The taking up of clubs and weapons, conflicts, quarrels, and disputes, insults, slander, falsehood. Taken from Digha Nikaya 15, Mahanidana Sutta. Let's take a look at footnotes number 15. SV, the commentary. Pursuit, pariyasana, is the pursuit of objects such as visible forms and so on. And gain, labha, is the gaining of such objects. Decision making, vinichaya, is deciding how much to keep for oneself and how much to give to others. How much to use, how much to store, and so on. So the title of this sutta is called The Dark Chain of Causation. Starts from feeling and then going on to the craving, pursuit. Then there's the desire and lust, there's attachment, there's defensiveness. And because of all of this, this is how we all fight with each other. The taking out of clubs and weapons, conflicts, quarrels, disputes, insults, slander, falsehood. Okay, any comment on this sutta? If not, let's continue reading. Sister Sakya, would you like to read?
The roots of violence and oppression. Greed, hatred, and delusion of every kind are unwholesome. Whatever action a greedy, hating, and deluded person hits up, by deeds, words, or thoughts, that too is unwholesome. Whatever suffering such a person, overpowered by greed, hatred, and delusion, his thoughts controlled by them, inflicts under false pretext upon another, by killing, imprisonment, confiscation of property, false accusations, or expulsion, being prompted in this by the thought, I have power and I want power. All this is unwholesome too.
Thanks, Sister Second. This is taken from Anguttara Nikaya 369. Let's take a look at the footnotes, number 16. Greed, hatred, and delusion, lobha, dosa, moha, are the three unwholesome roots, the root causes of all mental defilements and unwholesome actions. See page 146 for more details. And if you recall, when we read the Noble Eightfold Path, this is also mentioned. The three unwholesome roots are the root causes for the unwholesome actions. Any comments? Questions? Okay, if not, we can continue reading. We have a little bit of time. Section 4 of this chapter, without discoverable beginning. Sister Billy, would you like to read the first sutta?
One grasps and speaks. The Blessed One said this, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering, unhindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. Suppose, monks, a man would cut up whatever grass, sticks, branches, and foliage there are in this Subhudipa and collect them together into a single heap. Having done so, he would put them down, saying for each one, this is my mother, this is my mother's mother. The sequence of that man's mothers and grandmothers would not come to an end, yet the grass, sticks, branches, and foliage in this Jambutipa would be used up and exhausted. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering, unhindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. For such a long time, monks, you have experienced suffering, anguish, and disaster, and swept the cemetery. It is enough to become disenchanted with all formations, enough to become dispassionate toward them, enough to be liberated from them. Samutaya Nikaya 15.1.
Thanks, Sister Billy. Let's take a look at footnotes number 17. Anamatago yang bhikkhave sangsaro. This is the praise in Pali. The original meaning of anamataga is uncertain. SPK, the commentary, glosses it as having an unfindable beginning, explaining even if it should be pursued by knowledge for 100 or 1,000 years, it will be with unfindable beginning, with unknown beginning. it won't be possible to know its beginning from here or from there. The meaning is that it is without a delimiting first or last point. Samsara is the uninterruptedly occurring succession of the aggregates. Footnotes number 18. Jambudvipa, the rose apple land, the Indian subcontinent. So the Buddha gives a simile. If you gather all the grasses and sticks, branches, foliage. Let's take a look. What is foliage? Plant leaves and collectively. If we gather all this, grass, sticks, branches, and leaves, foliage in Jambudvipa, and then we pick up one by one. One grass. This is my mother. This is pick up another branch. This is my mother's mother's. The Buddha gave a very striking simile. This one. The sequence of that man's mothers and grandmothers would not come to an end. Yeah. But after finish picking up the grass from the whole land, the grass, sticks, branches, foliages is already used up and exhausted. But the sequence of our mothers and grandmothers still has not come to an end. You can imagine, because of this simile, how long is the sequence has already been going on. Why? Because this samsara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not discerned. We are always driven by craving, and then we continue in samsara. For such a long time, we have experienced suffering, anguish, disaster, swell the cemetery. It is enough to become disenchanted with all formations, enough to become dispassionate toward them, enough to be liberated from them. Okay, that's for the first sutta. Any comments? If not, let's read the second one. Sister Aikin, would you like to read? You're muted, sorry.
Balls of clay. Monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. A first point is not discerned of beings roaming and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. Suppose, monks, a man would reduce this great earth to balls of clay, the size of jujube kernels, and put them down, saying, for each one, this is my father, this is my father's father. The sequence of that man's fathers and grandfathers will not come to an end. Yet this great earth will be used up and exhausted. For what reason? Because, monks, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. At the first point, is not discerned of beings roaming and can't see the
top.
Wandering. Also can't see and wandering on, hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. For such a long time, monks, you have experienced suffering, anguish, and disaster, and swell the cemetery. It is enough to become disenchanted with all formations, enough to become dispassionate towards them, enough to be liberated from them. Santa Nikaya 15.2.
Thanks, Sister Aikin. So the second simile that the Buddha gave in this book is when you reduce this earth to balls of clay the size of jujube kernels. I'm not sure what is this. Let's take a look. The definition says, the edible berry-like fruit of a Eurasian plant, formerly taken as a calf here. Maybe we find some picture of this to get a better idea. Would you be
In Chinese, this one is like Hong Zhao, no? Red dates.
oh, red dates? Okay, let's see some picture. Something like this. Something this small. Okay. So the whole earth reduced to this. You pick up, becomes a ball of clay, and then you make small Canon like this. And when you go through the sequence, let me share the screen again. Yeah, the first one, the Buddha uses for mother. The second one, the Buddha use this time is for fathers. The Buddha has already adopted gender equality. Both sides must be equal. 2,500 years ago. Now this is the father's turn. The sequence of that man's father and grandfathers would not come to an end. Yet the great earth, if you form into a clay of this size of jujube candles, it will already be used up and exhausted. Why? Again, because this samsara is without discoverable beginning. I think we can read one more before we end for today. The mountain. Sister Chaikon, would you like to read?
Number 3, the mountain. A certain monk approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and said to him, Venerable Sir, how long is an eon? An eon is long, monk. It is not easy to count it, and it is so many years, or so many hundreds of years, or so many thousands of years, or so many hundreds of thousands of years. Then is it possible to give a simile, Venerable Sir? It is possible, monk, the Blessed One said. Suppose, monk, there was a great stone mountain, a yojana long, a yojana wide, and a yojana high, without holes or crevices, one solid mass of rock. At the end of every 100 years, a man would stroke it once with a piece of fine cloth. That great stone mountain might by this effort, be worn away and eliminated, but the eon would still not have come to an end. So long is an eon, monk, and of eons of such length, we have wandered through so many eons, so many hundreds of eons, and so many thousands of eons, so many hundreds of thousands of eons. For what reason? Because, monk, this samsara is without discoverable beginning. It is enough to be liberated from them. Samyutta Nikaya 15.5.
Thanks, Sister Chaikon.
Mm.
Let's take a look at the footnotes number 19. Kappa, apparently a Mahakappa, a great eon, is intended. The length of time it takes for a world system to arise, develop, and perish. Each Mahakappa consists of 4 Asankhya Kappa, individual periods of expansion, stabilizations, contraction, and dissolution. For a discussion of early Buddhist cosmology, see Gethin, The Foundations of Buddhism, page 112 to 115. So the term for eon in Pali is called kappa. Next footnotes, number 20. A yojana is approximately 7 miles, probably the measurement used back then in the Buddha's time. All right, can you imagine there's a mountain 7 miles wide, 7 miles long, 7 miles high, yeah, around 10 kilometers. And then every 100 years, at the end of every 100 years, a man used a cloth, struck this mountain once. When the mountain has reduced, imagine every 100 years, how long would that be? This is the punchline. The eon would still not have come to an end. This is how the Buddha gives a simile, gives a punchline. So long as an eon mark, and of eons of such length. So many eons, so many hundreds of eons, thousands of eons, hundreds of thousands of eons, we have wandered through the samsara. Any questions or comments? Yeah, samsara may be without discoverable beginning, but it doesn't have to be without discoverable end if we continue practicing. Let's do a dedication. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，实是常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。We meet again. May we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a discoverable Wednesday ahead. Thanks everyone for participating. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.